Hi, Chris. Thanks very much for joining us.
Great. Thanks so much for having me, Tim. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's our pleasure to have you on. We're excited to talk to you. And to start off with, it'd be great if you can kind of give us an introduction into yourself and into Velvix.
Thank you very much, Tim. Absolutely. So, my name is Chris Wieners. I am the managing director of Velvix here in the United States. I'm currently based in Los Angeles. Just a little bit about myself. I come from 10 years previously in Macau, where I was in a marketing capacity with Sands China, looking after various properties, both in Macau and at the time the pre-opening of Marina Bay Sands. And I also have been working for several years in the Japan market as well. So I come from a combination of a gaming, hospitality, tourism, sales and marketing background. I've worked in the gaming industry now for a little bit over 15 years. And I've been brought on basically to help develop the Velvix brand, launch it into the US market. The US, particularly California, will be our initial launch market with plans over the next 12 months to look at additional states and jurisdictions throughout the United States and throughout the Americas at large. But my initial role is to basically develop this company as a competitor in the traditional EGM space.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for that introduction. When it comes to this kind of line of business in the gaming industry, obviously a lot has happened in the last couple of years. I mean, it's happened for
Sure.
any industry, but particularly this one. How did COVID-19 and the pandemic, affect this part of the gaming sector?
Well, I believe COVID-19 and the overall pandemic, well, first of all, of course, no market has been left unscathed. There are various different levels of recovery, at the time of our recording here. But there's no market that's remained unscathed. We can look at places in Asia that are still on the roads to recovery and still going through various levels of lockdown and limitation. And then there's markets, of course, like here in the United States, where I believe we're a bit ahead of the curve in regards to the reopening, not only for gaming, but across the board with regards to travel and tourism. Places like Las Vegas, of course, have seen record numbers over the past 6 to 12 months as this pent-up demand really takes hold and people take advantage to go out and travel and enjoy themselves and spend money that they previously weren't. So it's been this lull that's now starting to end, and I think that gets everybody here excited. In terms of how it's impacted the industry, I believe we're seeing a lot in terms of innovation that's been driven out of this. A lot of innovation by need. Again, right now, one of the most important things in our industry is to be able to keep patrons safe. And make sure that they feel comfortable when they do interact with any gaming device, with a casino, whether we're talking about the gaming floor, food and beverage, hotel and hospitality. This industry has really been transformed by a need to innovate. And I think a lot of that is driving two things. One is driving some really unique and cool innovations in the design of physical structures and infrastructure for games, especially in the EGM industry, in terms of how games are laid out from a physical perspective. And it's also driving interest from operators to try new things. I think that the industry is very open to looking at new opportunities and working with new players who bring something special to the table. Or innovative to the table, and that's very much where I believe Velvix is going to be able to take advantage of the new market opportunities that are presented as a result of COVID-19.
Sure. So from Velvix's point of view, given kind of the markets you operate in and things like this, where are we now in terms of the status of the pandemic and kind of recovery? Are we out of the pandemic, out in some areas and not in others? Where exactly are we at?
Sure. Well, I think that very much is dependent on the jurisdiction we're referring to. If we look at Asia, what's happening out there, definitely there are still considerable hurdles to go over. Places like the Philippines where there's various lockdowns still in place. You look at the Macau market. They've done an amazing job of stemming the pandemic and keeping everyone safe. But at the same time, they're still suffering from a lot of the travel restrictions that are in place cross-border from various destinations, including China, again, it's like a game of whack-a-mole. Things are changing quite frequently. So, I definitely don't think we're over the pandemic by any means, and I would not want to ever be quoted as telling someone that we're over it. However, with that said, if we look at the United States, I do believe that we are at the other end of the tunnel. Again, the Las Vegas market has shown tremendous recovery and exponential growth, record-setting numbers, as we talked about, over the past 6 months. And I believe that those figures will continue into the next quarter, into 2022. I will say that I don't see any governments getting to a point where they lock down again, including the United States. I just don't think economies can afford it at this point in time. That's not to say that individual jurisdiction, or in our case in the U.S., state mandates won't come into play that may make it more easy or more difficult, depending on those jurisdictional mandates for players to engage. Vaccine requirements, mask mandates, all of these types of public health initiatives are really going to play heavy in regards to how profitable or the overall traffic and visitation that these gaming destinations see here in the US and in other places around the world. So while I don't think we're by any means over it, and there's always the chance that something could come back, we could have other catastrophic issues down the road, I would like to believe that we're over the worst of it, and that markets are now on a clear path to recovery across the globe, specifically with regards to gaming.
Yeah, absolutely. When you talk about the kind of US performance, certainly the figures in states like Nevada have just been, never mind higher than last year, record in terms of, a really long period of time. I think just overall historic records have been set there.
No, absolutely. And there's only room to grow. The trajectory is very much upward spiral here. If you look at travel and tourism in general here in the United States, again, there's this massive pent-up demand that has occurred. And I think that this is going to be across the board in all the markets. People that have been locked up and for whatever reason unable to really go out and enjoy themselves. Again, we're seeing it here in the U.S. We're seeing it in Las Vegas. That demand is there, and I don't see that really slowing down anytime soon. Of course, here in the U.S., the school holidays have started, so there are some changes to the overall seasonality, the seasonal numbers that we expect. But in terms of overall demand for the market, overall demand for travel and tourism and entertainment here, I don't see this demand going away anytime soon.
You mentioned your home bases in Taiwan and Sydney, but you've
Yes.
also talked a lot about the focus on North America, and your solutions are very much in line with the kind of Western markets. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, so Velvix, as I mentioned, is a U.S. company based here in Los Angeles, but our DNA, our parent companies, are born out of both locations in Taipei, in Taiwan, as well as in Sydney, Australia. And I think that that's very beneficial for a variety of reasons. The team that's putting this together and that's really making this happen and building this up from the ground has vast experiences in both Western and various Asian marketplaces. So when we talk about the games that matter to, say, consumers in China or in Asia and across various game levels, there's a lot of experience there and knowledge of what makes great games. We also have, again, the Australian side, which really understands not only what makes great game thematics, but also things such as the development of very impressive cabinets, new technology. What's really what can we innovate that will work for the more Western market of the United States? So bringing both of those components together makes Velvix a unique product, and I think places us very well here in the U.S. market to provide some unique and innovative product.
Sure, and I can only say from what we've seen in Australia, there's definitely a very strong kind of hub of research and development when it comes to game studios. For your specific games and games types, can you kind of talk us through the products that Velvix offers specifically when it comes to games?
Sure. So most of the games that we've developed are Class 3 games, and we've got a very healthy selection of both standalone progressives and link jackpot products, which we're going to be launching here at the end of 2021 here in the U.S. Again, California being our first port of call from a market perspective. So we've got a wide range of thematics. Some of all of the IP is owned and operated and has been created by the Velvix team. And that IP includes thematics that are both Western and Asian centric in their themes. So, for example, our most exciting Link game, Link Progressive, is called Bao Bao King. And this features a Chinese thematic, the Bao Bao King, and several of his sidekicks, which come from the Chinese zodiac. And this basically features, thematics around those zodiac creatures, but it also incorporates this really, cool battle feature where, randomly selected players that are on the link are able to actually do battle against each other for different credit prizes. And it works to try and create a social atmosphere and connection on the link and on the platform between multiple players at random. So we have several games like that where battle features are a key part of the product. And of course, we have various standalone progressives with a variety of different themes. One that we're calling attention to that we really like is we've taken the concept of Sikbo, so the traditional dice table game, and moved that into a slot product. So all of the bonus features revolve around basically popping virtual dice on the machine to win prizes or to advance through various bonus games. So something else that we're very much looking at is taking the traditional table experience and integrating that into an electronic game, and that's quite exciting for us. We also have several cabinet products. So at the moment, 3 specific cabinet products that we're going to be launching with. Some of our more traditional cabinet products are, of course, HD products with both landscape and portrait screens, some really interesting and unique toppers and edge lighting effects, so they look really nice. But the one that we're most excited about is our Curl X product, which is our C-curve screen, again, all in high definition. All of our cabinets coming with virtual button decks. We're integrating things like mobile phone chargers, wireless chargers for patrons to be able to set their phone down and charge while they're at the machine. So we're also looking at various technologies that we can integrate to make the player experience more interesting and more engaging, and of course keep them there longer.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of variety in those new launches.
Yes.
And as you mentioned, we've talked a lot about the US market, but I think we can't really not talk about it because it's such a big market. I mean, not it's slightly different from obviously sports betting and iGaming, but from those perspectives, it's obviously the most talked about market in the world at the moment as well. Specifically with regarding US, what are your kind of goals there, and which regions are you kind of most targeting?
So, in terms of regions, we're going to launch here in California because we feel that for various reasons, it's a great state. We'd like to do business in. It's geographically, physically easy for us, to manage, and we just feel that there are some amazing opportunities here in the state. With that said, we've got our eyes, as I mentioned, on various jurisdictions throughout the U.S., and we're actually just finalizing sort of the order which we're going to be attacking those. But our plan is to be a national product here in the United States. We're also looking at various markets throughout the Americas and understanding what opportunities there are to localize our product in other markets outside of the United States here in the U.S. So we've got significantly big plans for North America and potentially South America as well. So that's very much part of our market development plan. But in terms of our overall goals, of course, in addition to getting machines on floors, we want to be known not only as an innovative company, but as a company that delivers on a service promise that we've created. And that service promise is really around the connection of our game developers and designers, or the research and development teams, with the end user. And again, the end user in this case can be players, it could be casino operators, but our goal is to really understand and take the feedback back to the lab and back to our designers to create and churn out some amazing, not only thematics, but innovative product from a software perspective, from a physical cabinet hardware perspective. We want to be, and we will push very hard for our teams, our sales teams, to connect those end users with the developers and designers, so that we're able to really truly offer an end-to-end product that works for each local jurisdiction as they require.
Sure. So you've outlined goals there. You've got certainly ambitions, but when it comes to this industry and when it comes to supplying games, what are the biggest challenges you have ahead of you? You know, as we sort of look towards the end of 2021.
Sure. I mean, I think, of course, our biggest challenge is one that any new company, any new business in this industry is going to face, is just, getting our name out there and showcasing our product and getting people excited about what we have to offer. I think that, we'll easily overcome that just in terms of the quality of the product, the games, and again, everything I've kind of described here in our chat. I think that we're going to be able to get those people excited, but definitely our biggest hurdle is just going to be, how do we make noise? How do we ensure that we, attract the right people? How do we get in front of the right players? And a lot of that's going to be around, bringing the right team on board, having the right salespeople in place. As any business kicking off would be structuring, but that's going to be our biggest challenge. The second is really going to be responding to, and this is industry wide, responding to what we spoke about earlier, which are all of these, adjustments and these sort of quick hits that are going to take place in regards to innovation requirements in the market as a direct result of COVID-19. I think that, the industry, prior to this pandemic, the gaming, and you can look at, others, tourism, hospitality, et cetera. These types of industries were sort of innovating as available. Now it's sort of a do or die. I mean, it's a requirement to be innovative. It's a requirement to churn out new and interesting product that fits the market. And I think that there will be, the winners will be those who are able to do that quickly, efficiently, cost effectively, of course, and ultimately with a quality end product. So one of our challenges is really going to be understanding the dynamics of every individual jurisdiction that we enter into, with regards to the requirements and the local market needs, and then sort of adjusting, accordingly on our end, the product that we push out into those jurisdictions.
Mm-hmm. So a final question for you, Chris, bearing in mind
Sure.
everything we've spoken about, challenges, different jurisdictions, the innovation coming out from the pandemic. If we were to sit down and speak in exactly sort of 12 to 15 months time, what would your hopes be for Velvix for 2022?
Well, of course, I want to be able to look back and see that we've got product on floors here in California, that's going well, and that we're delivering a solid product that consistently is delivering for our customers. I want to be able to look back and know that we've delivered on the service promise. Again, that we're providing top quality customer services, and that we really are able to connect our R&D teams, our designers and developers, directly with the feedback that we get from the end users. We want to be very much on the cusp of research, going into the market and really understanding each individual jurisdiction's needs and producing great products as a result of that. So I hope we're also able to look back and know that we've got a lot of opportunity, again, in various jurisdictions here, not only in the US, but in other markets throughout, both North and South America. And I'm excited to see that sort of, be fulfilled over the next 12 months and build the team and get this brand out there. We're incredibly excited to be launching here in the US and very confident in our ability to deliver that in 2022.
Well, brilliant. Thank you very much for your time, Chris, and best of luck for the end of this year and also going into 2022.
Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.